video. Apologies for the delays, everyone. I'm another first timer in an event such as this, and I'll be presenting Sega's 1986 shooter Fantasy Zone. So, without further ado, this will be a one loop attempt, no rapid fire or no auto fire, just to make it a little spicy. And then 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to the Fantasy Zone. Get ready. So this is, like I said, a shmup by Sega in the mid-80s. It's bi-directional like Defender, but all your power-ups come from this floating shot balloon that appears periodically. I'm going to take big wings to keep it slow. That controls your speed. I'm going to keep big wings to keep it slow. Oh. I forgot that I changed the start on my timer at the last second. But yeah, this is a nice, lighthearted, very bright, very upbeat game. Nothing at all to be worried about or depressed about in this game. Just a happy time going through these magical lands. So every stage is set up that you go around and you destroy a number of these enemy spawning bases while avoiding waves of other enemies, and then you collect coins so you can buy power-ups from the shop that appears periodically. After defeating all the bases, which are shown nicely on the radar at the bottom of the screen, and then clearing out the screen of all enemies, a boss appears. Here's the boss of Stage 1, Wispy Woods. Unfortunately, I wasn't trying to shoot ahead of time. Sometimes you can get a hit in on his mouth while he's spawning, but then otherwise you can only hit him while his mouth is open. Stage 2 is pretty simple. Twin bomb it. I don't know why I went to the shop. Like I said, I'm keeping big wings for my own safety right now, to protect myself from myself. I just have a high chance of throwing myself directly into enemy bases in the first 2 stages for some reason. Also, having big wings also helps keep the rank on the second boss down a little bit, which I've been having a heck of a time with him giving me good patterns, and you'll see what I mean. But then after that, I'll pick up the jet engine and we'll be flying full speed through the rest of this game. Now, the shop usually appears at the beginning of every stage, and then at a set period of time in the middle of the stage. There's some modifiers to this that I'm not fully aware of, like if you have a power-up left over from the previous stage. And then also when you die, the shop automatically comes back for you. With the exception of during a boss fight, you get no shop if you die during a boss. Alright, second boss. We'll call him Mr. Bubbles. These bosses all have silly names that I don't know off the top of my head. I see we're getting the lovely patterns right away. But yeah, usually with a jet engine, while dodging around these shots, I will accidentally fly right into one. So I keep big wings to stage 3 just to kind of protect myself. Oh, I got some good patterns after that first one. Try to collect all the coins. Alright, let's go speed it up. Now, a nice thing about this game is, one thing in the shop is extra ships. This is actually a really forgiving game, in my opinion. It gives you lots of opportunity to make mistakes and recover. So hopefully this will be a guaranteed 1cc. I'll know when I get to the last 2 stages or so. I can have a good feel for how things are going at that point. Alright, we'll hop back into the shop here. Buy a second laser beam just to take things quickly, and buy a heavy bomb just to take things quickly. Now, one thing I really like about this game is I like games where you can have some nice cheesy strats to trivialize boss fights. And Fantasy Zone has plenty of those. Here's Mr. Sun. There's Mr. Sun. Now, through just playing this game in general, that's the only problem with grabbing that second shop. This should be the easiest stage in the game, but because of me hitting the second shop in stage 3 and beating the boss too quickly, I now have to wait for the shop to appear on this stage. Alright, let's recover that. And now we just go on a casual stroll through the bottom of whatever planet this is. Almost looks like an ocean planet. And then here's a new strat that I learned for this boss. But as I was saying, there's a lot of cheese strats for some of these bosses, but because of the whole thing that if you die on them, you have to fight them without power-ups, just through practice and playing this game a lot, I've gotten to experience no power-up kills on every boss in this game. But now stage 5 is where things can start to get a little bit more tricky for me. There's some of the nastier enemy patterns. And unfortunately, this is not a world record pace because I started my timer late. Not like I'm playing this for speed anyhow. I just don't have the mentality to be a speedrunner. I prefer just to focus on 1cc's and having a fun time. Boy, I could only imagine speedruns on this. Even among experienced players, I rarely see people take more than the jet engine. Anything beyond that is just crazy fast. Now, an interesting thing is, I point out specifically that I'm using no turbo on this. And that's because you'd be surprised that Turbo Fire really does trivialize a lot of the challenge of this game, when you can just take out bases with your normal weapon. Alright, and now we have the snowmen. Happy holidays, everyone. Alright, let's see here. What setup do I want to do for this? Alright, I'm going to do the timeout strat on this boss just to show it off. Normally, each row of snowmen, every time you clear the first row, the 2 snowmen in front of the snowman in the next row will start shooting at you. And as it gets towards the end, it gets pretty fast and hectic, and if you're in a bad position, you can be in dire straits as the next row of snowmen start shooting. Or, if you're patient, bosses time out in interesting ways in this game. Basically, with the exception of stage 6 and 7 bosses that just get faster and faster until you can't escape them, every other boss just starts to approach you at a nice leisurely pace, and in the snowman's case, they stop shooting at you as well. Alright, stage 6. Now, the game is going to start to be really mean. There's the shop. So, to play it safe, I'm going to go the expensive route, and I'm going to buy 7-way shot. It takes out the bases a little bit slower than the laser beam, but more importantly is it is excellent at clearing out the waves of enemies as soon as they spawn. At least this game is kind, and most enemies flash before they shoot at you, just to let you know, hey, they're going to shoot at you. Ideally, you want to mix in some 7-way shots as well as dropping bombs on the bases when you're playing without auto-fire. Your bombs do an amazing amount of damage and are often overlooked when you don't have to worry about auto-fire not killing things fast enough. Alright, stage 6 boss. This is a race. He's going to get faster and faster the longer the fight goes, and my goal here is to try to land 2 hits in the eye per pass. He takes 12 to completely defeat. So we're up to 6 hits. Missed on that loop. You can also drop bombs on them, but it's pretty tough to do. There's a little bit of physics applied to your bombs that keep the momentum of your movement. And we're in the Visine zone, so let's get the red out. Stage 6 done. Alright, stage 7. Now you're going to probably see the enemy's bullets are going to change shape. It's a good indicator of how the rank in this game is going. Instead of shooting blue balls, they should now be shooting diamonds at me. Yep, there's the diamonds. The stage also has a very nasty enemy pattern where a whole group of enemies come in from the top of the screen. So you want to be careful when you are facing off against a base that is against the top of the screen. And accidental crash, but things are going well, so not too worried about that. Just rebuy my power-ups. Buy those expensive 7-way shots, and an extra life just to put myself in the safe zone. Oh, there's the pattern that comes from the top of the screen. But 7-way shot does keep the enemies at bay. Things are going fast through this, so I haven't even gotten to talk about how I found this game, considering that the arcade version was never released in the US. I played the Tengen port on the NES a lot from a mom-and-pop rental shop back in the day, and I always loved it. And surprisingly, that port is surprising that I loved it, because that port is probably one of the worst ports. There was a Japanese port by Sunsoft that actually plays completely different than the Tengen port and is a better game. Whew. Now things are getting spicy. Alright, there we go. Alright, now the Stage 7 boss is Faceman. This guy is the #1 divider between auto-fire and non-auto-fire. To beat him in time before he gets so fast that I can't dodge him, I have to try to make sure that both of my bombs are out and he spawns on top of them. That boss is incredibly hard to recover from without auto-fire if you die and you have to go in with no power-ups, but it can be done. Alright, so you'll notice that it sends me back to the shop again immediately as we start Stage 8, because now it's boss rush time. And not just any boss rush, these guys are their higher rank versions, and for some reason you can turn around backwards now when, for every boss except for the Stage 6 boss, before you were locked to facing forwards. Mr. Bubbles here will be pretty fun. You'll see me actually drop down so I can see the pattern better and react to where I should go to dodge it. The good news is if for any reason I die on any of these bosses, you get an immediate shop, and I have revenge strats for almost every boss to trivialize them. So I'll lose a life, but at least I'll get my revenge. Now this is Revision A, a slightly later revision that came out from the base game, but it seems to be the popular and most common one. And what it adds is the game loops infinitely after the first loop. And also, the song of Stage 5, the Iceland, has an extra track added to it. And so that's just what I stick with. But second... Oh. Always a little bit tricky there. You have to kind of pay attention to the patterns of the wavy arms. But now let's trivialize this boss. Heck, let's even... Oh, I didn't have enough time to buy that. I was thinking too hard. I always expect to take one death during this run, but that's mainly because for backup strats for the final boss. And there we go. Revengeance is mine. I'm going to use the same trick I did on this boss before, take out all except for 2 of these guys and time them out, because it's a lot safer. But you're going to notice something when the timeout occurs. But it gives me a little bit more time to talk about Wavy Arm Guy, since I didn't get a lot of time to discuss him before. He's actually not that bad to dodge his patterns, because all the shots are mostly aimed at you. The trick that the only thing you have to be aware of is you don't want to corner yourself when one of his arms is coming down towards you. Ah, here's the trick. This time he learns when he times out to chase after you and keep shooting. But you can get behind him, which makes him a lot easier to take out. For the most part, this boss is completely unchanged. He still gets faster at the same rate. Alright, so there's a possible chance of me dying on the next boss, just because I have a single bomb, and it's going to be tricky to get enough of damage into him before he gets so fast that I can't dodge him. But I would like to, because then that will give me an extra life to try an interesting strat on how to beat the final boss that I've only just learned in practice for this event. Alright, Visine Zone. I have to, in order to beat this guy in time, I have to kind of make sure that my bombs hit him every time he forms to get that extra damage in, and not to crash into him face first. Now, I have plenty of... This is a foregone conclusion. This is a clear at this point, because I have enough to buy some extra lives. But now you get to see the revenge strat for Faceman. Oh, gone already. And here we go. Not really much of a final boss so far, right? But he gets faster. And eventually he starts chasing you down. Oh, that was bad on my part. And it looks like my time estimates were pretty off to begin with, considering that I started the timer late. Alright. Well, for the sake of moving things along, I'm going to take the cheesy strat again. There's a strat that I haven't gotten completely down yet. On his final one, it just comes right at you, full speed. But there's a way that you can actually clip through the wall that it creates so that it gets trapped on one side of the wall and you're on the other, and then it eventually just tries to find its way around until it gives up and blows up on its own. Oh, except I just accidentally dropped a bomb. I did not mean to do that. Oh, I didn't get it. Alright, I'm fully blaming for first event stream nerves there. While mashing so hard, I grazed the bomb button and dropped my heavy bomb. And you'll see why I won that. I still got this as long as I don't accidentally hit the bomb button again. I can recover. It's a friendly game. It gives you lots of opportunities to correct your mistakes. I'm just sad about my time estimate being completely off with this. I also blame taking that slower strat on the snowmen because it's funny. Alright. And done. Let's see if I can keep up with the ending text for this. And remember, nice happy game. Opa Opa, the player, has now destroyed the invading army and restored peace to the fantasy zone. However, he has mixed emotions because his long-lost father was the chief of the enemy forces. One burning question that will remain with him until his dying days. Was my victory really worth the price I had to pay? Cheerful game. Continued in Fantasy Zone 2, The Tears of Opa Opa. Now game just loops and takes away all your extra lives. The shop doesn't show up as frequently, and then loop 2 begins. You pretty much have to clear loop 2 without dying if you want to pull that off. Another day, another year, another day.